By tradition, we'll first read a little bit from Collected Lectures on Bhagavad Gita as it is, Volume 4, Bhagavad Gita verses chapter 4, verse 13, through chapter 6, verse 44. Today's Text is from chapter 4, text 14 through 19. That's the day we left off. Just like in a prison house, if you want to improve your condition, you become a very good prisoner, and the government gives you A-class status. There are 3 classes of status in prison life. Some are suffering the prison life in the A-class status. Some of them are suffering in the B-class status. There are also classes, just like when some political leader is put into prison, they are given A-class status. But a sane man should not be satisfied by becoming an A-class prisoner. A-class. So we are in this material world, some of us in the A-class, some of us are B-class prisoner, some of us are C-class prisoner. So to become an A-class prisoner from C-class prisoner is not the solution of our problem. The problem should be solved that we become completely free from prison life. That is the whole problem. Kamanya karma yat pashyad akarmani chakarmiya sabhudiman manushesu sayukta kritsna karmakrit. Anyone who can understand the process of karma, process of work, in this way he is the most intelligent person in this world, most intelligent person. Not that a person who has passed MA, PhD examination from the university, something offering country. Person who understands this problem of life, he is the most intelligent person. That we should learn, he is the most intelligent person. Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita yanagni dagdha karmanam tam ahu panditam buddha. Pandit means learned, and Buddha means one who is well versed. He is called Buddha. Buddha, this very term you'll find in another place of Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, Buddha Bhava Samanvrata. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataksaram prabhajate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhava Samanvrata. That Buddha you'll find in the 10th chapter, and the same Buddha, Pandit, and Buddha. Pandit according to the Bhagavad Gita. Pandit means learned man. The Sanskrit word Pandit means, and Buddha is well-versed. Stopping on the top of page 53. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 How do we do this? Is there a verse? Are there books? Do I read it myself? What's the process? What's that screen for?
Yeah, we'll display.
It's not used for verses?
Yeah, we'll display. Within 2 minutes.
What does it take?
We will display the words.
It's not usually done. I assume because nobody prepared it. Or who's the person who usually prepares it?
Sometime on Sunday feast we use this.
Huh?
Sunday feast we use this.
On Sunday feast we use it. You don't use it regularly. I got it. Okay. Okay.
Everybody uses their phone.
Phone.
How many devotees have phones? I want to know whether to repeat the verse or just read it myself. Few of them. Okay, it doesn't look like such a difficult verse. Let's try it. What is the verse? Oh. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 34. Shri Yudhisthira
Sri Yudhishthira
Idrisha Kasya Pa Sapa Haridasa Abhimarshana Ashradeya Iva Avati Hari Ekantinam Bhava. Is it going to happen?
He's bringing the laptop.
Bringing the laptop. Shri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradheya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava Shri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradheya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava Shri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradheya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava
Shri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradeya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava
Sri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradeya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava
Sri Yudhishthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshanam Ashradeya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava
Sri Yudhisthira Uvacha Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Abhimarshana Ashradeya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava
Shri Yudhisthira
Uvacha
Idrisha Kasya Vasapo Haridasa Vimarshana Ashradeya Ivavati Harir Ekantinam Bhava Shri Yudhisthira Uvacha
Kidrishakasya Vasapo
Haridasa Vimashanaha
Haridasa Vimashana
Ashradeya Svava Vivabhati
Ashradeya Vivabhati
Hare Kantinam Bhava
Hare Kantinam Bhava
Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha.
Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha
Maharaj Yudhishthira said,
Maharaj Yudhishthira said,
Kidrisha,
Kidrisha,
what kind of?
what kind of?
Kasya,
Kasya,
whose?
whose?
Va,
Va,
or. Shapa,
Shapa,
curse.
curse.
Haridasa,
Haridasa,
the servant of Hari.
the servant of Hari.
Abhimarshana,
Abhimarshana,
overcoming.
overcoming.
Ashradeya,
Ashradeya,
incredible.
incredible.
Eva,
Eva,
as if.
as if.
Abhati,
Abhati,
appears.
appears.
Hari,
Hare,
of Hari.
of Hari.
Ekantinam,
Ekantinam,
of those exclusively devoted as exalted attendants.
of those exclusively devoted as exalted attendants.
Bhava,
Bhava,
birth.
birth.
As they say in Russian, не получилось. It's okay. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired. Let me read first. What kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas? And what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates? For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. Again, Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired.
Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired,
What kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas?
what kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas?
And what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates?
What sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates?
For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world
For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world
is impossible.
is impossible.
I cannot believe this.
I cannot believe this.
Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 8:16, the Lord clearly states, Mam upecha tukanteya puna janma navijate, one who is purified of material contamination and returns home back to Godhead does not return to this material world. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Krishna says, Janma kama chami vidyam, even yoviti tatvata, tyaktva deham punarjanma, naiti mam eti sojana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore was surprised that a pure devotee could return to this material world. This is certainly a very important question. Translation again. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired what kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas, and what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates. For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. Om Jnana-timirandasya Chiranjana Salakaya Chaksho Unmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Okam Karoti Vachalam Angum Nagayate Yaktipa Tamaham Mande Shri Gurave Nitana Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pastasya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yesterday in class, I alluded to a very detailed presentation that's given elsewhere, which really, essentially, explains this whole Leela of the deliverance of the Lord's devotees, but specifically the deliverance of Jai and Vijay. The births they had taken as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and as Shishupala and Antavakra. And as we know from Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an explanation given how they were gatekeepers of Vaikuntha. They obstruct the passage of the four Kumaras. Who were disturbed very much when they were obstructed and not allowed to enter into Vaikuntha. The Lord personally came and spoke on behalf of his gatekeepers and apologized to the four Kumaras. And he said, I take full responsibility for their acts. We oftentimes quote that well-known verse spoken by the Lord in this connection, that a wrong act committed by the servant leads people in general to blame the master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body spoils all of the skin. Krishna spoke this statement, speaking very strongly that they call themselves my servants, so if they're my servants and they do something in my service, people are going to blame me. And what they've done in my service is they've offended you. And then, of course, we also know that it's described how the four Kumaras cursed Jai and Vijay to take birth in the material world as a result of an offense, and they were given the choice that you can take 7 births as devotees, 3 births as demons. They accepted the choice of taking 3 births as demons because they didn't want to stay away for so long from their service, and they descended ultimately by the will of the Lord. Prabhupada explains elsewhere. He said, I think it's in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, the purport, where he says that there are no obstacles for those in Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, although sometimes the Lord, by his will, he may arrange. And he gave the example of Jai and Vijay, he arranged. And that explanation is given in Bhagavatam. But there's a much more detailed explanation given in Laghu Bhagavatamrita. And this detailed explanation really pulls all the different elements together. And Rupa Goswami, who was the author of Laghu Bhagavatamrita, he explains in the outset, he said that in his presentation, he wants to stick exclusively to statements of Shastra. He says he's not going to use logic, but he wants to establish a particular thesis. And his thesis that he wanted to establish is that how Sri Krishna is the most super excellent avatar of the Supreme Personality of God. He wants to support the Paribhasa Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam, which states, Ete Chang Sakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrani Vyakaram Vakam Vidyanti Yoge Yoge. So, this is the Paribhasa Sutra upon which everything else is established, that the original Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom all other incarnations are emanating is Krishna. But not only does he want to establish this Paribhasa Sutra, but he wants to give evidence from scriptures. Why is it that Krishna is super excellent and is the most worshipable? Why is it? What is it about Krishna that makes him even better? Because he describes that there are different avatars. He describes all the different avatars as the Avesh avatars, beginning with the Avesh avatars such as Prithu Maharaj, such as Narada Muni, such as the four Kumars. They're Avesh avatars, the empowered living entities. And then there are Prabhava and Vaibhava Avastha avatars. And the Vaibhava Avastha avatars are considered to be more superior than the Prabhava. The Prabhava Avastha avatars, they only manifest to fulfill some partial quality of the Lord, to fulfill a particular purpose, and their renown is not so great. They don't stay very long. They come to do, I think Mohini is given as an example, as the Prabhava Avastha avatar. Then he says there are Vaibhava Avastha avatars who are personalities such as Dhanvantari, Kapila Dev, Vyasadeva, that they stay for much longer periods of time in this world, and their renown is greater than these other avatars. And then he says that beyond these, the Vaibhava Avastha avatars, he describes the Apara Avastha avatars. And the Para Avastha avatars are three. And the Apara Avastha, they are the supreme avatars because they manifest all six qualities. And he says that those three are Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Ramachandra, and Krishna. The Apara Avastha avatars. But then he goes on to explain why Krishna, because this is his thesis. He wants to give an explanation why an intelligent person should worship Krishna. What is the super excellent qualities of Krishna that makes him most worshipable? Of course, Lord Ramachandra and Lord Nrsimhadev, they're also Krishna. But what is it that makes Krishna the most superior? And he uses this, one of his evidences that he gives from Shastras again, and he's speaking from, predominantly in this particular section, he's speaking from the Vishnu Purana, in a conversation between Parashara Muni and Maitreya Rishi. He speaks and gives the evidence that what happened when Hiranyakashipu was killed by Lord Nrsimhadev. Hiranyakashipu had to take birth again. Of course, we look at this from different angles. Some people say, of course he had to take birth again because it had to take 3 births as demons before they could go back. But he brings out something else this is from the Vishnu Purana, as I said, that why he had to take birth again, and why he took birth in his next life as Ravana, and why when he was killed by Lord Ramachandra, why Ravana still had to take another birth as the king of Chedi, who was Shishupal. And how is it that Shishupal, and this is what we spoke about yesterday, how is it Shishupal, many of us think that we see this spark entered into the body, he achieves Sayuja Mukti, but actually, Rupa Goswami explains that there's different types of Sayuja, and the particular Mukti that Shishupal achieved was he was established a relationship with Krishna when he was killed by Krishna. Why was he get that relationship with Krishna? And he gives the Sanskrit for it also. I'm just giving a little summary because I want to take advantage that I'm speaking in the English meeting. I could never do this elsewhere. I could never sit and read something because everything I read, every sentence has to be translated. And people lose it. You know, they lose it. I have to keep everyone's attention. So, you know, I may read something, but I'll always say something to keep everybody focused because I don't want people to lose it. Because actually, the essence of the point that we're going to talk about today, and we alluded to yesterday, what is it that really, I mean, for Shishupal, what is it that really got him such an exalted status? It was his absorption. He was absorbed in Krishna. He was absorbed. He was so absorbed in Krishna. He was so envious, but he was absorbed in Krishna and he accepted Krishna as God. Whereas Ravana, he thought Ramachandra was, you know, some super powerful human being. And he wasn't absorbed in Ramachandra in the same way Shishupal was absorbed in Krishna. And Hiranyakashipu also, he just thought, you know, who's this half-man, half-thine who has the audacity to challenge me? You know, there was no question of it. He was killed, but there was no absorption. There was some, I don't know if there was fear. Doesn't seem that Hiranyakashipu displayed it. If you like Kamsa, his absorption was fear. And as we spoke about the other day, it was not anukul, it was not favorable, because Kamsa was always just fearful of Krishna because Krishna is going to be the source of my death. But anyways, the point is that absorption. Why is it that Shishupal got this special type of Sayuja, where he actually, a relationship was established? These points are going to be brought out by Rupa Goswami, and again, not by logic, by Shastra. So I'm going to be presenting Shastra, and you'll see it's very logical Shastra. And then, of course, the verses that Rupa Goswami gives is this evidence about the superiority of Lord Krishna. This is not the whole argument that he gives to establish Krishna's superiority. It's only one of many references he gives in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. But it's very, very enlightening. It's very, it's very absorbing also. So as I say, I want to take advantage, and I hope you'll be absorbed in it as I am when reading it, trying to cover this theme of what is so special about these events of these three Para-avasta incarnations of the Lord, who are supposedly equal, but what makes it? What is there a hierarchy here, or are they equal? What is it that makes Krishna super excellent above all others? What is it that makes him the most worshipable And why is it? Because Rupa Goswami, at that particular time when he had compiled his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, it was at a time with a current thought. Many people were thinking that actually Krishna was simply an incarnation of Vishnu. Common. Even today, people think that way. And there are other misunderstandings, and Rupa Goswami wanted to take Shastra and give that as evidence to clearly establish without any doubt that Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the most worshipable, and if one wants to achieve the ultimate benefit, then one should worship Krishna. And these are the, as I said, this is the evidence he's going to give, and I'm going to begin reading. It's already 9 o'clock. I would probably not even establish everything. There are about 20 verses with purports. The purports are by Baladeva Vijayabhushan. And the purports simply expand on the verses themselves, which were originally given by, as we said, Parashara Muni in the Vishnu Purana. So, let me start so I can give you a little hint of what we're talking about. This is text 38. This darling son of Devaki is an unprecedented ocean of nectar, filled with supreme opulence and sweetness. Later we will focus on his characteristics in detail. From the Puranas and other scriptures we learn that he resides in 4 places: Vraj, Mathura, Dwarka, and Goloka. At this point, this is all the verses, not commentary. Whenever there's commentary, I'll say commentary. At this point, someone may ask whether Lord Nishinga and Lord Ramachandra are on an equal level with Krishna. To answer this question, let us review how the Vishnu Purana addresses this issue. This is Rupa Goswami. Okay. And then, in the purport, Baladeva Vijayabhushan, which is, of course, brilliantly translated and rendered into English by Gopi Purana. By the way, I think this was just published maybe a year ago? Huh?
Only 1 year ago.
Yes. Yeah. Only, it took a long time. Gopi Purana had done everything, but then the Sanskritist had to take everything, put it into context, and the editing, BBC did all the editing.
Now available.
It's now available, yeah. Maybe 2 years ago. Maybe 2 years ago. So this is Baladeva Vijayabhushan's commentary. Someone may infer from Srila Rupa Goswami's initial description of the Para Avasta forms that the 3 incarnations in the topmost category are equally full manifestations of the Supreme. Has our venerable author forgotten his thesis that Sri Krishna alone is original and supreme? The description of the excellences of Lord Nisringa and Lord Ramachandra leads the way, step by step, to correct understanding of Krishna. It is only natural to enter a palace by walking up the staircase that leads to its entrance. So he's going to bring us step by step. Yes, they are the 3, but now he wants to establish thesis that Krishna is super excellent. The next verse. In part 4 of the Vishnu Purana, Maitreya asks this question. After Vishnu killed Hiranyakashipu and later Ravana, the jiva who had taken birth as those demons achieved facilities for material enjoyment even the demigods cannot attain. Why, in those circumstances, did he not achieve the liberation of merging into the eternal Lord Hari, as he did after he took birth as Shishupal, who was killed by the Lord? Okay, So someone may say, of course they couldn't, because they had to take 2 births. But there's more. There's much more that's going to be brought to light. Here, Baladev Vibhushan says, the Sayuja that's in this verse, which is in reference to Shishupal, the Sayuja in this verse refers not to the imaginary obliteration of individual existence and merging into the Supreme, but rather to Sahayoga, a union of intimate cooperation. Even the Shrutis sometimes use the word Sayuja to mean close connection rather than complete merging. And he gives an example. Maitreya is curious to know, this is not the example, I'm skipping the example. Maitreya is curious to know why Hiranyakashipu and Ravana did not achieve liberation when they were killed by the Supreme Lord, where Shishupal achieved it at once. Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and Shishupal are 3 appearances of the same gatekeeper, Vaikuntha gatekeeper, Jaya. While Nrsingadev, Ramachandra, and Krishna are 3 appearances of the same personality of Godhead. Does this occurrence provide evidence of a measurable hierarchy of essential identity and personal qualities among these 3 para avasta rupas of the Supreme Person? Any questions? Huh? They're probably going to be answered. But so far, it's clear. Okay? Vishnu Purana, which is quoted. Then, his Parashara's answer. To kill the king of the demons, he who is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all the worlds revealed his unparalleled form of Nrsinga. At that time, Hiranyakashipu did not realize that Nrsinga was Vishnu. Thinking that this powerful being had accumulated heaps of extremely pious credits, Hiranyakashipu focused his attention on him under the strong impulsion of the mode of passion. By concentrating his mind on the Lord in this way, while the Lord killed him, in his next life, as 10-headed Ravana, Hiranyakashipu was only given facilities for material enjoyment that are unequaled in the 3 worlds. Okay, so this is how he was thinking. He was bewildered, did not take shelter, he did not take shelter in Krishna, he wasn't absorbed. Shishupal was absorbed. He didn't take shelter, but he was absorbed. And some of the evidence which is given is, he always used to speak about Krishna. And he used various words about Krishna, which are words that glorify him. He was speaking about him and then but he was absorbed. And that's right. Hiranyakashipu wasn't absorbed. Maybe he was absorbed in defending himself in battle with Lord Nrsinga. Might have been absorbed in trying to retain what he thought was his immortality. Pretty absorbed in that. But he wasn't absorbed in, he was absorbed in Lord Nrsingadev. He said, his mind did not actually take shelter of a unite with the personality of God and the Supreme Absolute Truth without beginning or end.
Did he think he would be able to defeat Nrsingadev?
Did he think he'll be able to?
Did he feel that he could defeat Nrsingadev? Because he was thinking he was immortal?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to say something? Well, okay. It may be coming up. That's why I'm saying. I didn't even read the purport yet to that verse. I only read the verse. So, to kill the king of the demons, who is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all the worlds, revealed his unparalleled form of Nrsinga. At that time, Hiranyakashipu did not realize that Nrsinga was Vishnu, thinking that this powerful being had accumulated heaps of extremely pious credits. That's what he was thinking, of how he was thinking. That he was thinking that Nrsingadev was some powerful being who accumulated so many powerful credits to be able to be as powerful as he was. Hiranyakashipu focuses his attention on him under the strong impulsion of the mode of passion. By concentrating his mind on the Lord in this way, while the Lord killed him in his next life, as 10-headed Ravana, Hiranyakashipu was only given facilities for material enjoyment that are unequaled in the three worlds. Purport. Lord Nrsinga is essentially the same person as Sri Krishna. They are not different in Swarup or identity, but rather in guna or manifest qualities. When a Vaidurya stone changes color, it manifests a quality it already contains within itself. In a similar way, when the personality of God had wanted to free the universe from the threat of Hiranyakashipu, he manifested his form as Nrsinga. But if Lord Nrsinga is none other than Krishna himself, why was Hiranyakashipu not liberated when killed by him? Parashar Muni will explain that when Lord Krishna kills a demon, he insinuates himself into the heart of that particular soul by the charm of his personality, names, and other attractive qualities. Lord Nrsinga, however, does not generally exert this liberating, all-attracting influence in the fallen jivas who encounter him. In fact, even the demigods were afraid of him. They did. They were so afraid that when he was manifesting his Ugra Nrsinga, they were afraid to approach him. They were fearful. Lord Brahma, he figured the only person that could possibly pacify Lord Nrsinga was Prahlad. He pushed Prahlad forward. So, in other words, Lord Nrsingadev doesn't, the word here is insinuate. Doesn't, what is it? What's another word for it? Insinuate. Doesn't engender, doesn't evoke generally that kind of mood of sweetness.
Well, he appeared ferocious and angry, right?
He was
super angry.
Yeah. Of course, Krishna, when he kills,
Right.
he may also manifest anger.
Right.
Anger.
But here it's a lion.
Yeah, but this is half man, half lion. Yeah. And Hiranyakashipu was thinking, what did this guy do to get this powerful? That's how he was thinking. So, Lord Nrsingadev, however, does not generally exert this liberating, all-attracting influence on the fallen jivas who encounter him. Then what was Hiranyakashipu's awareness regarding the Lord in his form as Nrsinga? He saw him as a powerful living being, like himself, endowed with extraordinary qualities. Why? Because the strong influence of the mode of passion always distorts understanding. Nevertheless, in spite of his bewildered condition, by intensely focusing his attention on this amazing man-lion who would kill him with his own hands, Hiranyakashipu gained in his next life wealth and power beyond the reach of the demigods. I'm only going to read one more verse. I'm giving class tomorrow. Is Bhakti here?
Yes.
You made it. Bhakti is a source of strength for me. I don't know I was so disappointed when I heard you had to go to Imran this morning. You'll be here tomorrow morning? I mean, I'm not forcing you. I'm asking. Yeah. Many of these questions, I mean, you might still have them. There's so many more things. And please forgive me, as I said, I really wanted to take advantage of the English medium because for me, it's a way to be absorbed too. I mean, really, honestly speaking, it's like it's a luxury to be able to speak to an audience that understands everything I say, and I'll have to worry about. I usually have to worry about does the translator's microphone work, and I always have to give him my microphone because it's more important than him than me, because nobody understands me. Or very few people understand. But it's much more absorbing. So I really, if I ask you permission to please give me this pleasure of being absorbed by, reading, and 11 tomorrow.
Today too.
Huh? I can't hear you.
We can have evening also.
I can't hear you.
We can have evening also.
In the evening. Oh.
And also, many devotees are available now. Today is off for many devotees.
Tomorrow's not?
Tomorrow is off.
Okay.
But tomorrow we have the celebration at 11:30, so there is time there.
Yeah.
Today we can go on.
I'm going to read another verse. Let's go on with, we'll finish with Nishinga and Hiranyakashipu. Okay? Alright, we'll finish with that. Tomorrow or maybe some other time. Well, I haven't figured out exactly when. We'll actually go to Ravana and Ramachandra. Ramachandra is definitely, I think he's definitely absorbing. I mean, there are a lot of people who are absorbing around. I mean, even, who was it? Anupam, who was brother of Rupa and Sanatana. He was Brahmabhakta. And Lord Chaitanya, he tried to change Vairagupta's absorption. Vairagupta was, he was Hanuman. And he tried to change his absorption because he was so absorbed in Ram. And Lord Chaitanya, realized, he said, I can't. Fortunate is that person who's so absorbed in his worshipful Lord that will never give him up. And that such a person who will never give up his worshipful Lord, and the Lord will come personally and drag him by the hair. His worshipful Lord. This was what Lord Chaitanya said to Vairagupta. So yes, there are many who are absorbed, but still, there's the super excellence of Krishna. What is it about Krishna that just makes him? Why is it that Lord Chaitanya, when he was at the home of Yankatabhata, why was he trying to get him, try to convince him, when worshipping Lakshmi Narayan, but he tried to make them understand that Krishna is superior. There's something about Krishna that makes him superior. And anybody who worships him, and anyone who makes the effort to absorb their mind and thoughts in him, then Krishna, he has just read, he insinuates his presence in such a way, in such a person, for their efforts to hear about him, to speak about him, and to remember him. And even someone like Shishupal, because the verse, I think, what is the verse? I think it's in this chapter of the Bhagavatam. Yes, just verse 31. He said, my dear King Yudhishthira, the gopis by their lusty desires, Kamsa by his fear, Shishupal of the kings by envy, the Yadus by their familial relationship with Krishna, you, Pandavas, by your great affection for Krishna, and we, the general devotees, by our devotional service have obtained the mercy of Krishna. All of them were absorbed in Krishna. Although, as we heard about the other day, so it was not so anukul, not so favorable. But Shishupal, even hated him. He hated him. He hated Krishna. But Krishna healed him and gave him a relationship with him. Now, of course, this is not so uncool either. This is not recommended. If you have to hate somebody intensely, so intensely, then this, but fortunately, we've already heard enough to not want to hate Krishna. Fortunately. So, as we said, we're going to we'll finish Hiranyakashipu and Vibhishangar. Because of Hiranyakashipu's bewilderment, his mind did not actually take shelter of and unite with the personality of God in the Supreme Absolute Truth without beginning or end. Purport: before one's mind can fully enter the transcendental shelter, one must become convinced that he is the Absolute Truth. Or the mind may enter a similar state if one becomes extremely hateful to him. See? Hiranyakashipu, king of the demons, had neither of these prerequisites, and so did not merge his mind fully in Lord Nrsimha. Thus, without accepting the personality of Godhead as the exclusive resort of his mind, he could not attain the relation. The next verse, Parasharamuni begins to speak about Rama and Ramachandra. As we said, we would keep this for our next session, but we'll definitely finish it before we leave. Any questions on things I've already spoke about, not things that will be answered? And it will be answered, I will answer it. Go ahead.
Maharaj, this actually, my question is related to the beginning, when you talk about Paravastha avatars, Nrsimhadev, Ramachandra and Krishna. So, I wanted to know why, like when Jayadev Goswami, when he glorifies Dashavatar, Dashavatar Stota, he doesn't talk about Krishna, he talks about Haladar Rupa, Balramji. So, and we say Krishna is avatari, he is not avatar. So how exactly, why not actually instead compare?
But he glorifies these different incarnations and worship this way. In other words, why does he not worship Balaram, who is actually Krishna himself? Why does he worship Lord Nrsimhadev, who is actually Krishna? I don't understand. He's glorifying these different appearances of the Lord. And anybody whose mind may be attracted to those particular features of the Lord becomes absorbed in that way, then they benefit becoming absorbed. That is why the whole story of Bhagavad Bhagavatamrita describes the different devotees and their different levels of absorption and worship. And they don't give up that particular relationship, like Hanuman doesn't give up his relationship with Lord Ram. Prahlad worships Lord Nrsimhadev, offers his prayers, that's his mood of Prahlad. So, for such persons who have absorbed in this particular feature of the Lord, then why not glorify these features of the Lord for such persons who won't give up those features?
My question was like, we know in Bhagavatam we hear that Krishna, from Krishna first expansion is Balramji, from him quadruple expansions come, and Vasudeva, then there's Sankarshna Padmina, Vasudeva, Niruddha, and then again there are multiple expansions. So from Krishna, Balram comes, Balramji expands, and from Balramji then, so Nrsimhadev and Lord Ramachandra, they directly expand from Krishna or they expand from Balramji?
No.
And
The
because
reason why he calls them Paravas is because he says that they manifest the 6 qualities, all 6 qualities, where others don't manifest all. 6 qualities. But that's what qualifies them as Paravasta. They manifest all 6 qualities. And that what makes them equal for those. Yes.
What kind of relationships did Krishna give to Shishupal? What kind of relationships? Servants or...
He became gatekeeper in Vaikuntha.
Ah, oh yeah. Yes, servant. Yes.
Servant. Yeah. In other words, when people hear, the reason why Baladev Vijayabhushan mentions that, when people think of Sayuja Mukti, they generally think of merging into the oneness, becoming one with. He says, actually, in this particular case, what does he say? Sahaja. What was the Sanskrit word of the Sahayoga, not Sahaja. Sahayoga. He said, Sayuja in this verse refers not to the imaginary obliteration of individual existence. Of course, the word imaginary here is also because they think themselves liberated. And merging into the Supreme, but rather Sahayoga, a union of intimate cooperation. Intimate cooperation. Service. Okay. Last question.
So did Kansa also attain liberation?
Kansa?
Yeah.
This fellow named in the previous life was Kamsa. He was definitely absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. That example was given, but it was, as we said, it was not Anukula. He didn't get the same liberation as Shishupal. He got liberation.
Okay. How was his absorption different from Shishupal's absorption? Because both were not Anukula, right?
Shishupal's absorption was that he was absorbed. Actually, that's a good question. It wasn't Anukula, of course. Anukula, favorable means absorbed. Anukula in the sense that he got liberation and he got his intimate relationship with Krishna when he was killed. But yeah, Kamsa, and I guess that verse also speaks that, which is the verse we just quoted. Because Kamsa was given as the gopis, on par with the gopis, the Yadus, Kamsa by fear. What was the verse? 31? Huh? Yeah. Gopis, Kamsa by fear, Shishupal by envy, Yadus by the familiar relationship, and Pandavas by a great affection, and we general devotees by our devotional service obtain the mercy of Krishna. Yes. So it seems you got. Yes.
Which kind of mercy he got?
Well, Sayuja is not mercy. No. Right. Mercy is to have either live on the same planet, to have the same features, the same opulences, or to become an associate. But to become one with, that's not permanent liberation. With such persons, you know, to become that's not mercy.
As you mentioned, these different avatars like Murari Gupta, he was more conscious about Ram. So what about the other people? He was Murari Gupta, but those who are attracted by millions of avatars of Ram, different deities, you know. So do we preach them about Krishna or leave them as it is, you know?
We should always glorify Krishna. And you know, Lord Chaitanya gave the example that he tried to convince Venkatapada. But he couldn't give it up. Well, no, actually Venkatapada did. became a worshiper of Krishna. But point is that we should try. But if they can't give it up, and the example of Lord Gupta, Lord Chaitanya didn't try to convince him otherwise. It's the fact that he was glorified. He's so fortunate the person can't give up his worship of the Lord. You know. So when we meet people like that, we should try, but we should definitely not condemn. I've seen that devotees sometimes do. Oh, you know, why don't you accept? I'm giving you the evidence. This is the evidence. Why don't you not accept it?
Maharaj, it is said that the very reason we are in this material world is inward towards the Lord.
I can hear you.
The very reason we are in this material world is due to the inward towards Lord in the spiritual world. But here we see that because of envy, Shishupala now they got defeated. So how do we dismiss the devotion in this condition?
They were killed by the Lord. Krishna killed them. And it's not that they were dovetailing or envy. You know, envy is something that cannot be dovetailed. You know. But it also, we have to understand, it's pastime. That the fall of Jaya and Vijaya is a pastime, and it's explained elsewhere in the Bhagavatam. It's arranged by the will of the Lord, by the Lord's desire, because the Lord can't fight with anybody. He sometimes wants to fight with the devotee. Although, interestingly, we'll read, I don't want to reveal the whole thing, but in part, it was the Lord's desire, but actually, Baladev Vijayabhushan explained that Jaya and Vijay were hearing bards who recite the glories of the Lord in Vaikuntha, and they were hearing the glories of how the Lord fights demons. And by hearing those glories from the bards in Vaikuntha, how the Lord fights demons, they were thinking, wow. And the Lord, by the Lord, they had a desire also, they wanted to fight. And therefore the Lord said, okay, I'll fight. I'll fight with them, I'll fulfill their desire. I'll fulfill their desire and let them take birth. But he also makes another point, and he says that the Lord appears in different kalpas, but he only refers to this one kalpa of when Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Parasha Muni in the Vishnu Purana only refers to one kalpa, because if it happened in many kalpas, then it would seem to indicate that they come back again in every kalpa. Hiranyakashipu, I mean, when Lord Shingadev comes to kill it every kalpa, but it's not the same person that comes. Because otherwise, then that would seem to indicate that someone goes back to the spiritual world and he has to come back again and again and again. But it was only one kalpa. And only one kalpa, only one lifetime of Lord Brahma did Jaya and Vijay fall from the spiritual world. And then when they went back, and this is the point that's, you know, that Yudhishthira Maharaj brings up to Narada Muni, how can I accept that when somebody goes back, somebody returns, he falls? I said, he says it's impossible. And Baladev Vijayabhushan explains it, that yes, when they went back, that was it, they went back. And the when Lord Shingadev comes again in different kalpas and kills Hiranyakashipu, it's not Jaya Vijay, they're back. They're back. Anyways, that will come out tomorrow. I'm just giving you a little. No, I'm going to stop. A little feature. No, I'm stopping there.